quite literally, it was almost the end of Star Stable. I never really got to speak my piece during this time. In fact, I quite literally chose to stay out of it. I stopped playing the game because of it. Okay, so first of all, I want to address last week's video because I posted a video for the first time, like actually having my boyfriend try Star Stable, and a lot of you guys really enjoyed that. You should comment down below and say that if you want to see him in more videos. Ignore the fact that I literally have pink socks. Honestly, these are the only white breeches that I own, and there's the socks are pink, and so we're just not gonna look at it. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a training time in a really long time, but now the Trailblazer is out, and quite frankly, I'm just here for this, where is it? Saddle pad. I like the navy blue. I think it'll look really good on my new Hanoverians. So we're going to be training Tiny Waffle today. I didn't really get a chance to like fully review. My reshade is very strong right now. I can't actually see what I'm doing. I didn't really get a chance to kind of like fully evaluate these horses when I first bought them. I think that's because I was really distracted trying to teach Luke how to actually use this game. I was watching other people buy this horse, and interesting because a lot of us are saying pretty much the same thing. I feel like a lot of Star Stable YouTubers are saying the same thing. Quite frankly, like just down flat, Star Stable did a really good job with these horses. I feel like a lot of the movement is very like, it makes like these horses look expensive. And I feel like a lot of the Criollo, when that horse came out, like I really did like the coat colors, but the movements were so bad that I don't even ride my Criollo horses. They look like a good quality warm blood. I'm very happy with the Hanoverians. You guys will have to let me know what you think. I'm glad to see that other people actually agree with me when I said, because in my video I said that the trot looked a little weird. It looked a little funky, and I don't know if that's because like as a community we just got so used to Star Stable like trot the movements that they design that now we don't know like what it's supposed to look like. Oh my gosh, goes the wrong way. I don't even really know what I'm saying. I wanted to make bullet points for like what I wanted to talk about, because I really did have like an important topic that I wanted to discuss in this video, because I never really got to speak my piece during this time. In fact, I quite literally chose to stay out of it, and that is Star Stable 2020. Now, anyone that's been playing Star Stable longer than 5 years basically knows what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you a little recap, because quite literally, it was almost the end of Star Stable as a company, as a game, as a brand in all aspects. It was actually kind of crazy. It was definitely probably one of the lowest points of Star Stable, and they've been struggling to recover from it ever since. Now, let me just say this really quick before we get too far in the weeds here. This is my perspective, my opinion, and basically how I saw everything go down. So if you disagree, that's fine. We can discuss it in the comments like civilized people. Basically, in 2020, in my opinion, this all started when Star Stable released the Jorvik Frisian horses. It was kind of the kickstart of the rest of their game and like the rest of what they were continuing to produce in their weekly updates. A lot of people were beginning to notice that Star Stable not only was producing smaller updates, but also were only releasing new horses. Some people didn't have an issue with this. I personally didn't say anything in the moment, simply because at the end of the day, I stopped playing the game because of it. It became a lot more boring because Star Stable wasn't updating any quests, any bug fixes. There were a lot of issues within the game itself, and not to mention because of the fact that they were only releasing new horses, new coat colors, basically things that would earn them more money. A lot of people were really upset for the reason that they just basically felt like Star Stable was trying to turn into like a, wait, what's the word? Cash grab. Thank you. A lot of people were upset because they felt like Star Stable cared more about their profits and rather than the game itself. There was a lot of bugs. There was a lot of cheating happening. There was so many different issues within the game that Star Stable was just like refusing to acknowledge. There were a lot of issues revolving around customer support. Nobody was really getting the responses that they were looking for. They would just get a simple like automated response to their email, and then the issue would never be looked into. Overall, the game was just losing its sense of nostalgia. Like, I feel like, I've been playing this game for almost, not quite a decade, but right around there. And this game was a massive part of my childhood. And the fact that it just kind of went downhill so quickly was something that I, first of all, wasn't ready for. And second of all, it honestly just came at a bad time. I chose very specifically to stay out of the drama just because I didn't feel like there was anything that I could say that like everybody else wasn't saying at the time. Fast forward, a lot of players and a lot of SSO content creators were speaking out against the issues and talking about how Star Stable needed to stop releasing so many horses into the game. And here's the thing, it's almost like they had like this like just like stock up of different breeds, because I mean we literally got the Jorvik Frisian, Welsh ponies updated, the fjords updated, a bunch of new magic coats. Like they were just strictly putting out content that would earn them more money, and it was honestly boring to make videos because every single week when I would make an update video, it was literally just, okay guys, let's check out the new horses. Okay guys, let's buy a new Clydesdale. Okay guys, let's check out the new coat colors that just came out. That was literally all I did for a couple years actually. Players were beginning to become much more frustrated with the situation because of the fact that they felt unheard. I also felt this way. It didn't matter how much we complained, and it didn't matter how many like times that we were trying to speak out against the issue. Star Stable was not listening, and as a result, just a lot of people that have been playing since the beginning of the game stopped playing. Star Stable content on like YouTube stopped coming out as much, and I feel like overall just the game lost the momentum that it once had. And to be honest, I don't think it's ever really come back. As a Star Stable YouTuber myself, like many people ended up just dropping the game in general. There was a phase where a lot of players were trying to boycott Star Stable and like boycott buying star coins in order to like send a message to Star Stable. There were multiple different attempts at this that I saw through Instagram and through YouTube. Newsflash, they never worked. Star Stable continued to ignore their players and continued to release things that new clothes, new saddles, new horses, new coat colors, whatever. Wow, this horse is really good. I've never actually seen him in action before. Sorry, I got distracted. Me personally, I was just upset with the fact that a lot of the horses that they were releasing were honestly worse than the last. A lot of the movements and the gaits and the animations were very low quality and very poor, and it was very obvious that Star Stable was just rushing to get an update out rather than actually take their time and create something that's they're essentially going to be proud of. Which brings us to the 2020 to 2023 era, where we were just consistently getting low quality horses. I'll have to look up which ones came out during this time period because quite frankly I don't remember. We got the Pentabian, the Mustang, they updated the Halflingers, they launched the Belgian Warmbloods. I think during that time they released the American Paint horses. We got the Curly horses, the Marwaris, the Finn horse, the Dartmoor pony, the Dutch Warmbloods, the Ardennes, I don't know how to say that one. The list goes on of horses that were released in the span of a year, and as a result, we were getting 2 to 3 horses released per month, and that's out of 3 to 4 updates per month. The game was becoming boring, and there was really no reason to play it other than to occasionally log on and see if this horse was worth our star coins. As a Star Stable YouTuber myself, I lost interest in the game. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was around this time that I stopped producing as much content as I had used to because nobody was watching my videos anyway. And even though the amount of views didn't necessarily matter, it felt discouraging to make something that nobody cared about because I didn't even like the products that I was like the videos that I was making. Wednesday update videos were less fun to make because they were the same every single week. Every horse was just not worth it. That was probably the worst time for Star Stable. Their recovery process was interesting to watch though. I wish I had done more research for this video because I wanted to make something a little bit more professional. Right now I'm strictly going based off of my memory and how I saw everything, so if these facts aren't accurate then sorry. Eventually, Star Stable realized that their players were extremely unhappy and they started to try to incorporate little things to work towards rebuilding their game. I'm gonna say it right now, I don't think Star Stable will ever be the same as it was back in 2019 and below. I think Star Stable was officially made in 2011 and they'll never have that same level of nostalgia as they once had. With that being said, they were making an attempt and I would like to acknowledge that. Around this time was when Star Stable released basically every now and again when you would log out, it still does this actually. Every now and again when you log out, it'll ask you if you enjoyed your time on the game, and it'll ask you to rate it on a scale from 1 to 5, it being like smiley faces. I'm sure a lot of players have seen this at least once in their Star Stable career. Ooh, I got horseshoes. Bro, they're literally just the same as the ones that I got from Conrad all those years ago. I'm doing this in like the weirdest order. I don't have a training route anymore. Anyway, Star Stable was making an attempt to reach their players and to acknowledge the fact that they were being heard, but it definitely wasn't enough simply because of the fact that Star Stable still wasn't listening. What I mean by this is just because Star Stable was saying, hey, rate our game, hey, we listen to your feedback, hey, like, we want to know what you think. It didn't matter what players were saying, Star Stable still wasn't listening. This roots back to what I was saying with the Jorvik Frisian. Star Stable released on their Instagram asking if we had any feedback for them of how we wanted the Jorvik Frisian to look. And the horses finally came out in 2020. Everyone was super disappointed because the horse was nothing like what we had asked for, and quite frankly didn't represent the Frisian like breed at all. So when Star Stable updated them again, people were a lot more happy because they actually represented like what a Frisian is and took feedback from players. When they first started asking for feedback from players though, they never actually listened to it, and so it felt almost pointless to say something in the first place because at the end of the day, Star Stable wasn't going to listen to us anyway. So what was the point in even saying anything? This is a very serious video. This was not the original plan. In addition to rate our game, how did you feel after playing afterwards? Star Stable did start to make an attempt to stop releasing so many horses and actually focus on their game. A big issue that people had with Star Stable was there was so many bugs in the game and so many inconsistencies. Every single horse that was being released had a lot of issues with it anyway, that the game kept crashing. There was a lot of bugs. Every time I would try to sit down and film a roleplay, like you couldn't ever lead your horse. I'm pretty sure they still haven't fixed that, by the way. Whenever I lead my horse, I don't think my character actually holds onto the lead rope. I think they might have fixed that. There was just so many bugs, and anybody that played from 2020 to 2024 knows exactly what I'm talking about. People were just like being able to hack into other people's stables. Cheating was out of control. The amount of people that were just cheating in races, astronomical. But Star Stable wasn't doing anything about it, and so players were very upset about that. Oh my gosh, hello? When did we get an updated rider? I don't get a ride with Beatrice anymore, and she's riding one-handed. Wow! Dang, I'm sitting here trashing on Star Stable and they really like upgraded. Sorry. I need to chill out with the reshade here. Sorry guys, my ADOF is going crazy. I suck at pole bending, by the way. Eventually, they stopped releasing so many horses at a time and finally kind of took a break from that. Updates were really small. Half of the community was saying that we're too critical and that we're complaining. The other half of the community was saying that Star Stable should be able to, you know, make these crazy updates every single week because of the team that they have. At the time, I didn't really have an opinion on it. I never said anything in the moment. I just watched other people argue about it. Star Stable was doing really small updates. Like every week they might put out a race, a new race, or they might like an occasional reputation quest that would take you like maybe 10 minutes. The updates were becoming very small and insignificant to the game. A lot of players were upset with this because they felt that Star Stable still wasn't focusing on the game itself, and like they really wanted people to update the story quests because the story quests were left on pause for so long. Like, I think almost a couple years before we actually got a new story quest. Since the time of me filming this video, we have gotten new story quests and Star Stable has improved their game quite a bit. But at the time, everybody was just kind of left on a cliffhanger and very upset about this. I still have not finished my story quest, to be completely honest with you, so it didn't really affect me. I was mainly affected by all the bugs in the game. With the way that I record role plays and just recording in general was becoming a huge hassle because the game never worked. I think Star Stable was specifically taking this time to focus more on their game and take a new approach and actually fix their game, because since then we have seen a lot of bug fixes happening every single, honestly, very frequently I see on their Instagram story that they are consistently working on bugs and errors that could be happening in the game, which I do appreciate. What is this? I haven't done that race. No, thank you. Ever since then, I haven't noticed really as many bugs in the game, which is definitely really nice as just, you know, a player. Flash forward, Star Stable essentially was trying to regain the trust of their players because they had let them down so much over the last several years. It was actually difficult to watch Star Stable try to regain their following, regain their amount of players, and just genuinely regain the trust of the players that did stick around. I had to hand it to them. They were definitely trying their best, and where we're at now, there has been a noticeable difference in the game itself. I think the Hanoverians speak to this the best. This horse is genuinely, like, you can tell that Star Stable took the time to really develop it, develop its animations, develop all the frames, develop how it interacts within the rest of the game. And all the coat colors, yes, they're, you know, not paint horses, they aren't super complicated, but they're very realistic in the way that they're shaded, especially this liver chestnut. That was the whole reason that I bought this horse in the first place. Like, really not many people had complaints about this horse when it was released. I think it's encouraging to see Star Stable make progress throughout the years. It's also interesting to look back and see where they kind of fell apart and how they're trying to change. I think it was a few weeks ago, Star Stable did their massive cheating ban, and that really made some people mad. I addressed earlier that there were so many issues with cheating within the game, and Star Stable really sat down and took care of it. I personally have never cheated on this game, ever. There's literally no reason to, in my opinion. Star Stable basically went on and somehow, some way, looked through all the accounts, figured out if any of the players had ever done any sort of cheating within the game, enhanced their horses, glitches, bugs, whatever it is, in order to progress through the game faster. Their accounts were permanently banned. So many people were understandably upset about this, and some people were trying to say, like, oh, I was banned incorrectly, which is fine. I'm sure Star Stable made a couple of mistakes, but then you gotta, like, reach out to Star Stable customer service and then they can handle it from there. But at the end of the day, I feel like this was beneficial for the game because now people are less upset about losing a championship or a race to somebody that is cheating through the game, because nobody likes that. I don't really know how I want to end this, to become quite frank with you. As somebody that watched it go down kind of from the sidelines, I do want to acknowledge the fact that Star Stable has come very far. A lot of the horses that are being released are doing a lot better. I think the Criollo was a bad example of that. I think Star Stable spent so much time on the coats, kind of skipped out on the animations, so like those look really rough. But then the Hanoverians have more simple coat designs, but they have really good movements. I see both sides of the arguments, and at the end of the day, this is literally just a Pixel Pony game. It's something that's been a part of my life for like literally half of my life, which is crazy now that I say that out loud. So I don't necessarily plan on quitting anytime soon. I still enjoy making videos and I still enjoy playing the game. I think Star Stable has made a lot of progress since then because I feel like they kind of spread out how many horses they release at a time. Like we might get, I feel like lately we've gotten quite a few horses because it feels like just yesterday that we got the Criollos. They're adding in new areas and they're updating races and they're constantly fixing bugs, and they updated Silverglade Manor. That was a big one that everybody was anticipating. They're making so many changes to the game that I think are improving the quality of it. But at the same time, I touched on earlier that Star Stable will never have the same amount of nostalgia as it does now. Or excuse me, as it did at the time. This game is never going to look the same, but in my opinion, that's just kind of how life goes. The game is going to update and evolve as they get better at animations and graphics, and that's just kind of the way it is. I don't quite know how to explain why this game doesn't feel the same when I log on now. That could be the community, that could be Star Stable itself, or that could just be the fact that I'm literally 22 and playing a kids game. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I think Star Stable makes progress every single day, and at the end, that's really all that I can ask for. Some of the updates are going to be smaller than others, but that also just kind of comes with the price of letting Star Stable take the time to fix things in their game and also create bigger updates like once a month, which was something that a lot of players had to get used to because I feel like we got so accustomed to getting these really big but crappy updates for so long. When Star Stable decided to change and do smaller updates, but higher quality updates, the players kind of freaked out a little bit because we just weren't used to it. Now that we're used to it, some updates are more boring than others. Like, for example, I don't even always make a Wednesday update every single day. There's less bugs. I don't even really know what I'm saying at this point. You'll have to let me know your opinions down below. There's probably more points that I wanted to make, but I didn't write this down. Thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate all of you that have stuck around this long. I'll be curious to see what happens in the future because at this point, that was almost 5 years ago. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you have an amazing weekend, depending on when I upload this video. Bye. All right, I'm gonna go to bed.